Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Don't Mom Alone podcast. I'm your host, Heather McFadden, and this is the place where I get to walk alongside you and connect you with people and resources so you know that you don't mom alone. And in this episode, number 467, I'm welcoming to the show women's health physical therapist, Krystle Howald.
So pre-kids, I used to think about exercise solely for my physical health, for my appearance. I wanted to look good. I wanted to run fast because I was a runner. So I wanted my performance to be good. But after having kids, I've realized that not only does it affect my physical health, but also my mental health. So we love this intersection of helping moms fix these mom problems through fitness and working out.
Like I said, Krystle is a women's health physical therapist, and she's also the co-founder of Expecting and Empowered, which is an app and an Instagram account. And y'all, when I started this interview, I thought she was just going to be talking to women who've just had babies. You know, we think postpartum, we think like that little period of time after you've had a baby. No. This information is for all women, even women who have not had children. I'm telling you, you are going to learn things about your body that are so helpful. She's going to talk through breathing. She's going to talk about pain. She's going to talk about incontinence and just how to feel good. Also, earbud warning, because this is our bodies. Unless you want to be educating your children today about anatomy, parts, vocabulary, you might want to put in those earbuds. But ultimately, y'all, I thought this was such an interesting conversation. I hope you think so too. I've never done one like it before. Let's get right to it. And stick around for the end. She is going to share a coupon code for her Expecting and Empowered app. All right, let's get right to it. Here we go. Krystle, welcome to the Don't Mom Alone podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on here.
Okay, and y'all, we're going to talk about pregnancy, postpartum, and you guys know I'm not a spring chicken, okay? This convo is for the moms who are still making the people. And I think I have a 12-year-old, right? So I haven't been pregnant for a minute. But I know y'all are out there and you need support. And so I'm thrilled to connect you with Krystle and Amy and their amazing podcast. Well, we're going to start off by hearing Krystle. I'd love to know your story. Like, how did you get into supporting moms in this way?
Yes. So I am an orthopedic and women's health physical therapist. My sister Amy and I co-own Expecting and Empowered, which is a pregnancy and postpartum fitness app together. So when I went to PT school, at the end, we got to choose 3 advanced courses. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to take this women's health one so I can selfishly know what's going to happen with my body after I have kids. And I was like, I am definitely negative 10% interested in treating vaginas, though. That's not going to be my thing. And then every day I went to class, they were basically telling you all of these things that are going to happen to your body, but nobody knew about them. So my jaw would be dropped to the floor. And I was like, somebody has got to fix this. So then I went from negative 10% to 110% being interested in treating vaginas and all the things that can help fix moms for their lifespan.
Amazing. And you are a mom yourself?
Yes, a mom.
Tell us about your mom journey. How old are your kids? And
so I have 3. One of them is in the closet behind me because she is homesick from school. Brooke is my oldest. She is 8. And she sent me down a path of having C-sections. And those were not planned. I wanted the unmedicated birth.
Did you have a birth plan?
Oh, yeah, girl. I had a birth plan.
I feel like it's I don't know, not karma, but to me, any person I heard that had a birth plan didn't go as planned. I'm just saying.
I know. God was
try.
No, we're not going to do exactly what you want. So I ended up not with 1, but with 3 C-sections. Brooke was breech. My second, I was a little bit forced into it from the hospital side because they're like, you ain't VBAC in here. You can choose a different place to VBAC. So my husband's like, you have to have another C-section. That's what they're telling you to do. So you must follow the ways. Now I do know a little bit more, so I probably would have been a better advocate. But I do have 3 healthy children. and I love them. And C-sections are part of my story.
They are. And y'all, I am not one to start controversy. You know me. But I know this can all be controversial, how we do this birthing thing, and shame can swirl it. I've walked with mom friends thinking that, oh, I didn't do it the quote unquote, whatever natural is. We all change that definition based on I don't know who. But yes, your babies are healthy. They're here. That is not everybody's story. And so we hold space for that grief. And yet, this journey of pregnancy, while it can be varied for so many people, I know people that they love it. They're like, I love being pregnant. It's my favorite. Or like they have body issues when they're not pregnant, but when they're pregnant, they're like so free. And then there's others who are like, I never, ever want to be pregnant again. It is miserable. All of the things it does to your body. I felt like I was a baby factory for a decade. I was either pregnant or nursing or dealing with a newborn for like 10 years. Okay.
Just getting bred over and over again, you know?
Yeah. Over and over and over. So we would love, I think what I want to cover today is some taboo topics that maybe it was like, why didn't anyone ever tell me this? Or, man, I'm dealing with this. Is anybody else dealing with this? So when people come to you, what are some topics they like almost whisper to you, like, I'm dealing with
Yes,
whatever, fill in the blank.
there are so many of them, and like you said, people have so much shame about them. So a couple of the common ones would be incontinence. So again,
Mhm.
as a society, we've kind of normalized having incontinence, and we could have either prevented that or we can fix it once we have it.
And are you saying during pregnancy, like after birth?
Yes.
When are you finding people struggle more with incontinence?
Well, we do know that if you urinate during pregnancy, you're twice as likely to have incontinence 15 years down the road. So when your child is 15, you're twice as likely to be peeing your pants. So I almost like think about it as a yellow sign. Get it? Yellow sign. This is like going to be in your
This
future.
is a warning light, but also,
So if
the
you leak
color.
even a drop of urine while you were pregnant, when you like sneezed or coughed, your body is telling you that you can't handle the pressure. So basically, all mom problems boil down to is having in proportion amounts of pressure in their body. So incontinence is, like that stress incontinence. If I sneeze, cough, laugh, and then I'm leaking, there's too much pressure downward that my pelvic floor cannot come behind and support and stop from urinating. But there's also other pressure issues that moms face, which are prolapse, diastasis recti, which is when there's a line or an abdominal separation down your midsection, which can make moms feel like they look pregnant, but they're obviously not pregnant anymore. So, kind of like you guys have a lot of parenting experts on here, and I am definitely not a parenting expert, but there is this huge intersection between our physical health as a mother and our mental health. So, pre kids, I used to think about exercise solely for my physical health, for my appearance. I wanted to like look good. I wanted to run fast because I was a runner. So, I wanted
Okay.
my performance to be good. But after having kids, I've realized that not only does it affect my physical health, but also my mental health. So, we love this intersection of helping moms fix these mom problems through fitness and working out. And you can definitely do that in pregnancy, but then once you're postpartum, you're like always postpartum. So we can fix
So
those.
I'm still postpartum.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I heard the pressure difference, right? You're saying like the pelvic floor and you're talking about the abdominal muscles. So in your app or through your programming, are you doing PT basically through exercises to help moms strengthen their pelvic floor? Like, is that the goal, to strengthen those muscles or support them with other muscles? Like, I don't really know enough.
So totally. In the app, it's going to have everything that you're supposed to be doing. The body, like God is so great. The body does not work in isolation though. So like it would be so nice if you had a pelvic floor problem and that's where the problem was coming from, but that's really not true. Like when we're talking about pressures, if you think about, if I took a toothpaste container and held it downward, so the bottom where the cap is your pelvic floor, the top where your thoracic spine is, and your breast tissue is your thorax up at the top there. And if I squeeze from the top and then I'm leaking urine or I have an organ coming out the bottom, that pressure can be coming from above. It also could be coming from below where our ankles are really not flexible. So too, to answer like your second question, each area needs a bunch of different things, right? So it needs flexibility, and then it needs strength, and it needs to work well with other muscles or other areas. So we have to be like training each of those things for our body to function well as a whole.
So if you're doing this whole body exercises, then you will eventually, just like it takes time, takes a minute to see change, the leakage would stop.
Yes, if you learn how to control pressure. So, for example, for leaking,
Control pressure.
I
Okay.
want to get my thorax moving. In my thorax, which is where my breast tissue is, and then if you round by your bra line around back, that controls my abdominal wall because all of the nerves come out of that area. Talk to a mom that doesn't have stiffness in their upper back. Most moms have a decent amount of stiffness. They've been carrying around babies. They've been carrying around those breast tissue for so long. So there's a lot of restriction up there. So if we get that moving, that helps less of the toothpaste come down to the bottom, right? So if we get flexibility through our upper back and strength, because our body will never hold, like if you've been to like a yoga class before, and then you're like, dang, that felt good for the day, but then it kind of like is like, okay, the next day I got to go to yoga again. Most people are lacking strength. You really need strength to be able to hold in different positions throughout the day and not fatigue out. And our bodies will get tight if we don't have strength. So whenever you're like, my back hurts or my ankle feels like Captain Morgan in the morning when I get out of bed, it's likely a strength issue at the root of it.
So interesting because people know I had a dog bite situation. So I had to quit Pilates this month and my back has been so stiff because I haven't been doing it this whole, like for a couple weeks. And I was like, why is my back so stiff? It's super interesting how like the just not doing those regular exercises, I'm already feeling the pressure building up.
It's so crazy because they did this research study, like when it was acceptable to do cruel things to humans. But it's like so sad how quickly we lose it too. So,
Yeah.
like, not only does it take a long time to gain strength, but then after your dog bite injury, like, look at how quickly it lost. So, when they did that study, they basically immobilized people for 2 weeks and they had to stop the study because so much core strength was lost, like, so much
Yeah,
strength
that's
in
great.
general. They like
It's great.
physically
Blame the
couldn't
dog.
function.
Okay. All my hard work.
2
Blame the
weeks.
dog.
Because of
Snap.
one dog in 2 weeks, that hard work could go down the toilet.
Y'all know I'm a big fan of Thrive Market. I've been telling you about them for a long time because it's a great option if you are looking for specific grocery and household essentials, especially if you are trying to clean some things out of your products, like maybe you are looking for more gluten-free options or keto options, or maybe you just want clean cleaning supplies. Thrive Market is your place to go. Lately, I have been adding MCT oil to my coffee. I know, I'm always doing something different. Well, with Thrive Market, I went on there to buy some more and it was 48% off. It was the Thrive Market brand of organic MCT oil. It saved me so much on a 32-ounce bottle. We also got my son's favorite organic roasted seaweed from Gimme. It was discounted from what I would buy it at the grocery store. I also love that I can pop on there. I can see what I've ordered in the past, and in a few clicks, I can fill my cart. I can shop, like I've mentioned. They have so many already curated lists that you can look for things, whether it's organic kid snacks or maybe you want a low sugar alternative, high protein. You can curate a whole experience with just a few clicks. And like I've already said before, I save money with every order and save time. On average, I save over 30% when I shop at Thrive Market. And they have a price match guarantee and a deals page. It changes every week. When you join Thrive Market, you are also helping a family in need. They have a 1-for-1 membership matching program. So you join, they give. It's the ultimate don't mom alone move. So save time and money. Shop Thrive Market today. Go to thrivemarket.com/DMA. You'll get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/DMA, thrivemarket.com/DMA. Okay, but I know a mom is listening and maybe she's already paused. She feels guilt. She knows she should work out. Like, I don't feel like people don't know.
Yeah.
Like, they may not know the why and like the connection to incontinence and long-term pelvic floor health, but she knows that she should. But she also knows like there's a newborn crying and there's meal planning and there's cleaning and there are friends to keep up with and a husband. He would like some time, if you know, we're going to get to that. So can you help for a second? Like, how does a woman make this a priority, or like, how do we move past those roadblocks?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Because actually, only 4% of us parents are getting the movement that we should be getting in. So that's obviously a huge barrier. Time, I think, has never been a bigger stressor than when you become a mother. Like, I felt it to the very bones. Like, I was like the crazy person running into Target, running out of Target as quickly as we could. But I think if you really understand your why, like, just like how you guys have parenting experts on, and you're really trying to learn how to be the best parent, we do that a lot by example, right? So if I want to bring my best energy to my kids, if I want to have patience and lead with kindness and be the best mom that I can, I have to take time out for myself. So, some tangible ways to do that are really starting to rethink about time management and prioritizing. So, for me, this has looked like minimizing stuff in the house. I like don't purchase as much stuff on Amazon as I used to. I used to purchase stuff, but it was another thing to do. So I really minimized my house. There's time that we spend scrolling on our phones or on social media. If we took a look at that log, I guarantee for everybody there's probably a decent chunk of time in there. And then creating healthy habits to exercise. So when my kids were really little, exercising in the morning wasn't an option because I was so freaking tired and up with them all night. But as they got older, then what that looks like for me now is I don't turn the TV on at night, which I want to. I like want to catch up on my Dateline episodes or whatever I'm going to be watching, but I just don't, because then I know that getting up in the morning or getting quality night rest is going to set me up for disaster for the things that are priority. And those to me are bringing like healthy, fun energy to my kids, having more patience with them, because we all know they can overstimulate us sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I know that's my bigger why. So those other things I'm willing to put on the table for later.
And how much time, like, would you say a woman should set aside in that season to kind of move her body?
I like to call them exercise snacks. I don't think that you have to have a full meal to exercise. So pre-kids, Krystle loved to get a healthy meal in. I was like an hour dripping sweat. I was at the gym in my cute workout clothes. I like had my workout schedule. And Krystle, that has kids, thinks that snacks taste delicious and they're great. So I will, if I have a hard meeting, I will go for a walk. At Expecting and Empowered, we actually minimize. So I'm a quick worker outer. I like to like get in, lift heavy weights, get it done. And they were like, lady, this exercise is taking you like 45 minutes. So we've since decreased that so that moms can get a solid workout in like 25 to 30 minutes, because the reality is we just don't have an hour, plus the time that it takes to drive to the gym, drive home. So a lot of my workouts end up happening from home. And then if I know what to do, like just by hitting play in our app, I can just hit play and then get 25 to 30 minutes of solid working out. So you don't need a lot of time. You either need a short little snack like a walk or a reframe in your day, or 20 to 30 to 40 minutes is all you need, but it literally will give you time and energy back. As weird as it sounds, it feels like you're like adding one more thing on your plate, but your brain is so much more productive if you just work out. If you're feeling like, creative fatigue at work, work out, reset in the afternoon. I can like bang through stuff in the afternoon. Or if I'm at home with the kids, we might have spent the whole morning playing, and then it's just like, mommy needs a little mommy time. And then I just work out and I'm like, dang, I'm back. Like the mom
Yeah.
that you want is back. But if I skip that, sometimes it's the mom that I'm not the most proud of that shows up.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like with quiet time or like this. I mean, yeah, you can pop in and out of it. If you do some push-ups and you have a little toddler crawling on your back, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen cute moms, they're incorporating their kids into their workouts. You don't have to be like, I'm only playing with them and then that time's over and now I'm doing my workout, like segmenting it. Or you can have your Bible out and your kids are crawling all over you. Like, I know it's not ideal, but sometimes we can think through, how do I integrate this into my mom life? It doesn't have to be separate from my kids.
Oh, totally. And I think it's great that they see you. Like my kids this morning, I was like, dang, you understand the assignment, because my little guy put YouTube on and there was a guy that was like rowing and then climbing up a mountain, and he was getting his Saturday morning workout in before we did all the things. So they really do learn and lead by example. Like research shows the more active a parent is, the more active their children are going to be. So I feel like, we can't control our kids a lot of times, especially this
I've
one
ever,
and this one in the closet. It's the hardest one to control for me. But,
I haven't found a one I can control. I haven't found one of them.
but we
Yeah.
sure can control what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I can imagine if you're doing that, and I know there's positive endorphins. I mean, I feel like we all kind of know what we should be doing. We should be scrolling less. We should be buying less. We should be spending more time working out. I would also think it would impact the other taboo topic is sex, the making love.
Yes.
If you're feeling good, if your positive endorphins are pumping, then you might be more interested. I mean, it's like, I don't want to put more pressures on moms with young kids, but I'm just saying there's also research that shows if that is all working good, your marriage is better. I'm just saying,
Yes.
y'all.
Body self-image is huge with that piece, right? But then too, the reality is after we have kids, some women do have pelvic pain. Like that's
Yeah.
my full
Yeah. That's
schedule.
real.
So I do see patients in the clinic, and it is very real. They say at 6 months, 40% of us after children have some kind of pain. And then people, again, we get this like green light from the doctor at 6 weeks that we should be like back at it and excited to be back at it. But listen, the goal of having intercourse is that it feels satisfying to you as well. So if you're having pain, that is not happening. So, really working on this area so that you can get back to that. So, some ways that you can help with pelvic pain are really letting go of the pelvic floor muscles. People think about like after they had kids that their vagina is like super loose or their pelvic floor is super loose. And actually, it's quite the opposite. Usually, what we see in the clinic is that there's scar tissue. So if you had a stubborn baby that got stuck on a certain area, or if you tore, or you needed instruments to help baby come out, that there's damage to the tissue, just like an ACL or spraining your ankle. Usually there takes a little bit of rehab, but basically for women, we're like given this baby and they're like, good luck. We'll see you at your 6 week appointment. Sometimes they don't even look down there and they're like, you're fine. Go back to having intercourse. And it's like, there's all of this stuff going on down there, even for C-section moms. So again, the body had so much pressure down on the pelvic floor when you're pregnant. Think about like when it's like your baby weighs the size of a watermelon, but that's like resting on your pelvic floor. So then you give birth And God is amazing and created our bodies so amazing, but he didn't like create this magic control alt delete button right away to like restore our bodies. So then again, these women can have so much pressure or pain or intercourse maybe doesn't feel as arousing as it did pre-kids. And there is a way back to that. So some strategies would be to actually stretch out your pelvic floor. You can take your finger and insert it into the vagina in the shower and stretch those areas out. Our pelvic floor also holds a lot of tension, just like our shoulders do. Our pelvic floor will hold stress and tension in it. So I feel like starting to talk about even doing that, even as a women's health physical therapist, sounded so weird to me at first. Like, wait, you want me to take my finger and put it where? And then the more that we talk about it, the easier it is. And sometimes in the shower, I will do the little wraparound real quick to make sure all these tissues are where they're supposed to be. So you can insert your finger into the second knuckle. And if I drew a clock on my vagina, 12 is up towards the clitoris, 6 is back towards the butthole. Most of that scarring from kids is going to be kind of from like 5 to 7. So working in those areas, and I pull my finger down and I will hold, and I'll breathe into that area. You'll feel tension sometimes. And it is crazy how different it feels if we can get that area to relax. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, there's plenty of people that God has trained in women's health that are happy to help you work on this area. And again, really starting to reconnect with this body. If you just leave it, it's always going to be the same. And as we age, it's going to get worse. But if you just focus a little bit on it for a little bit of time, it's going to pay dividends, not only in your sex life, but for your physical and your mental health as well.
Everybody, we're in shock. I think all the listeners are in shock. I am so thankful you're bringing it up because there are so many women suffering in silence. Either they're like from the church, like, no, you have to please your man, whatever. Like you even saying like intercourse is for mutual pleasure. Like this is for your enjoyment as well. And if it's not, there's a problem. Like, I don't know that a lot of women, one, know that, or two, feel permission to say, no, this really hurts and I need help. So thank you for saying it out loud. And I mean, it's uncomfortable. I mean, why are we not more familiar with our bodies? Like, and why does that seem so uncomfortable to talk about? But I'm happy that, and y'all, maybe I'll have to put this video on the Instagram so you can see Krystle demonstrating so perfectly, not on her vagina, but just she's she showed with her hands. I feel like this is really helpful, Krystle, and I'm just thankful that y'all are doing what you're doing to bring some freedom to women. I think my brain is a little confused by you saying that the pelvic floor is tight, but also with incontinence. Like, I know you said that it's our upper body squeezing. I don't know. My brain is having a hard time. It would seem to me that the pelvic floor would be loose. So that's where
Yes. So I love to use an analogy because everybody can understand. The pelvic floor is like this weird abstract concept, right? So it basically
Yeah.
is a diamond shaped muscle at the bottom of our pelvis. And
Okay.
any muscle, we want it to be both flexible and strong and work well with other muscles. So let's just transition that idea to the bicep. Would you walk around all day with your bicep just jacked and
Like
squeezed and
flexed up and
flexed and
yeah.
lifted? You would not, right? So we have to let the bicep go. We have to let our arm hang down sometimes. And then when we lift our groceries or we lift our kids, we flex and strengthen the bicep. So same thing with the pelvic floor, but most women that have incontinence, prolapse, they're walking around all day kind of with a flexed pelvic floor because it feels scary. Like, I don't want to pee myself, right? So I'm going to hold my pelvic floor muscles tight because I've been taught how to do Kegels. Or I don't want to feel heaviness in my pelvic floor because I have prolapse and there's organs coming out. So I'm going to flex. So because I'm going to hold those suckers in for all I can. But what happens is just like how we have tension points in our neck, everybody can relate to that, right? Those muscles don't work as well because there's so many tension points in. So they have to be able to relax to come back down to a baseline. Otherwise, your pelvic floor is like already halfway contracted. So then when we go to sneeze and that pressure comes up from above, which wouldn't be as much pressure if we had good movement there. So if that
Yep.
pressure starts coming downward and we're already halfway contracted, we can only contract a little bit because we're already like out of the gate. It'd be like starting a race too early, right? We're already tightened and we're already starting the race so that when we actually have to run, we're kind of fatigued. We can't do it. And that is what is really confusing to women, right? Because they like think they have to do Kegels, but actually most of the time you have to stretch and then you have to like start to re-strengthen your pelvic floor.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We have been talking in this episode about our bodies, and even Krystle mentions how she used to equate physical fitness with just looking good, but how much it helps her mental health. Well, I think as women, and particularly as moms, we often put our own needs to talk to someone, to talk to a professional about what's going on with our lives, different stressors, big or small. Sometimes we keep it bottled up and it's coming out sideways with our kids. And with therapy, you have a safe space to talk about what is hard right now. And it makes you feel lighter. And I'm not talking about weight here. I'm talking about what is mentally and spiritually holding you down. So I know personally this was true in my mom journey. I've shared many different places about by the time I got to my fourth kid, I was so overwhelmed with all the pressures and I needed an outside person to tell me this is normal and give me perspective and give me some tools. So if you're a mom and you've been thinking about starting therapy, you didn't know where to start, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. So I know maybe it's during nap time, maybe it's after kids are in bed, whatever fits your life. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. You can get things off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/DMA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DMA. Okay, I'm sitting down to tell you about Honey Love and realizing that I am wearing their bra right now. I'm wearing my Honey Love crossover bra. It's because I was going to go put on this dress to go to one of my 2 or 3 million end of school year events, and it's got a tie at the front, and I knew it would show a little bit, or there's a chance that my bra could show, but I don't want to wear a whole cami. And I've told you all about this bra. It's super cute. It's got like this pretty mesh detailing, so even if it shows, it looks like a cute cami, but it's comfortable. With Honey Love, there's no underwire, so I'm not getting pinched. You know, Krystle's been talking about different pain, and I would sometimes have pain on the left side of my body and when I would wear underwire bras. And so I'm really thankful for Honey Love. Whether you're on the smaller side, like myself, I find that this is a bra that's not riding up or has to be pulled down. And then if you are on the larger side, it's supportive and comfortable. Their technology is kind of amazing, and the fabric is super, super soft. I forget that I'm wearing it. I'm not kidding. So it might be time to spring clean your bra drawer. And for a limited time, you can get Honey Love on sale, 20% off the entire order with my exclusive link, honeylove.com/DMA. You support our show and check them out at honeylove.com/DMA. If you are in that stage where you're going to lots of different events, I am definitely going to recommend their best-selling crossover bra. It is literally so comfortable. If you're tired of like your bra bulging in the back, it has this back smoothing fabric. If you want even a more relaxed lounge bra, their V bra is really fantastic. They even have comfortable shapewear. I wore mine to a wedding this last weekend and it was fantastic. Tanks, leggings. It's so awesome. I am a big, big fan of Honey Love. And it's not just supporting women, it's empowering women. Treat yourself to the best bras on the market. Save 20% off at honeylove.com/DMA. Use that exclusive link, remember, to get 20% off honeylove.com/DMA to find your perfect fit. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you. Honeys, you deserve this. Free the pain and discomfort. Feel the support with Honey Love. Fascinating. You do an excellent job describing this, by the way. Like lots of good analogies. I can totally get what you're talking about. I think about with the bicep too, like learning about the tricep. Like one is they're in opposition. So you're saying like working well with other muscles. What other muscles support our pelvic floor? I know we talked about the upper body, but like down below, is there anything we need to be focused on? Or I'm guessing your exercises do that.
Absolutely. So our groin, the people that have like one-sided hip pain, they probably
Mm.
have pelvic floor dysfunction because there's an imbalance between our left and our right side of our hips. So what happens is our groin works with our pelvic floor, which then works with the opposite side of our abdominal muscles, our obliques. So there's like almost like an X that goes over the pelvis. And those have to work together. Think about when we walk, right? So what should happen is our chest comes forward on the right, the left leg comes forward, and there's this reciprocal motion. But in bodies that don't have a lot of options, which is a lot of postpartum women, there's not this nice reciprocal fluid motion because there's a breakdown of the friends that should be working together. The pelvic floor should be working with my groin, which works with my obliques. But if I like held my baby on my right side, only my left side of my oblique got strong. So then I created an imbalance, or maybe I had a tear on the right side of my pelvic floor. So the right side of my pelvic floor is really tight and the left side's really loose. Well, if you think about a circle and you take one side of the circle and smush it in and the other side's really big, there's going to be stuff that leaks out there. So we have to have symmetry, a little bit of symmetry. And again, it has to work with other people. So it works with our core, our abdominal muscles, back, groin are like the key neighbors. But again, we're so complex. So the feet, if we don't have shock absorption through our feet, like how I was talking about the Captain Morgan mommy, like
Yeah,
you
the
wake up
ankles and all
and you
that.
like
Yeah.
kind of shuffle to the bathroom, that means that probably your foot doesn't have great mobility and strength. And so then my pelvic floor now has to take on the shock. Like the pelvic floor is literally like the lady at church that has 10 kids and is signed up to bring on prayer night all of the appetizers, and it's like she's losing it a little bit behind the scenes, but at church she like looks real good. The pelvic floor is like your best
She's
friend.
barely holding it together.
It
She's
will
barely
help
holding
you
it
out
together.
with anything, but some of the other players got to show up to church, right? My ankles got
Mhm.
to come to church, my hips got to come to church, my back. But so there's a lot of components that put more pressure on the pelvic floor, and the pelvic floor is willing to help, but at what cost? And then that's the cost to moms.
Mm, so good. And I'm thinking, like when you said the baby on the hip, oh my goodness, how often did I hold the baby on my left hip so I could do things with my right hand? For probably a decade, I did that. And then you think of like the car seat. I know they've like created this new way to hold it that we didn't have that option. Some smart person figured out. I don't even know if that's a good thing. You're the PT. Like, what are your tips for moms postpartum to care for their bodies while also, they have this baby that would like to be held?
We talked about a lot of like complex things too. So I like really want to simplify it because there's one thing that I
Okay.
feel like if you spent time doing, it would fix a lot of the things that we've already
Oh,
talked
let's
about.
talk about that.
That
Let's talk
one
about that.
thing is just breathing properly, which sounds like, what the heck, lady, this is
Let's do
annoying.
it.
And actually, when I did all those women's health classes back in the day, I'd go to them and the whole first day would be breathing. And I was like, oh, when are we going to get to the good stuff like lifting or the manual therapy? And then now here I am, 13 years down the road, full circle, where all I talk about is breath work. But
But it is true. That's another part of Pilates that I love. I really feel like I'm more aware of my body when they tell me like how to do the breathing, and I spending an hour breathing really well. I don't know. I miss it now that I'm not doing it.
totally. And
Yeah.
it calms down your nervous system. Like, you can't tell me that you don't get a Pilates high when you come out of Pilates. You're like,
Yeah.
dang, I
It
am
feels good.
feeling good.
Yeah.
So, when we're pregnant, and again, once you're postpartum, you're always postpartum. So, when you're pregnant, the baby will grow and it will start growing into our rib cage. probably every mom out there like knows too. My, as I keep referring to her, the one in the closet loved to sit on the right side of my rib cage. So my right side of my rib cage got stuck out. Like that sucker does not want to come back in, but breath work will pull it back in because that's a muscle from the inside. Our diaphragm will pull our rib cage back down and in where it's supposed to. So if we focus on breathing, there's really 5 components that we want to think about with breathing. I'll tell you them all, but we'll just talk about one of them. So
Okay.
for breathing, we want to be able to connect our breath. So we want to breathe in, and that breath should go all the way down to our pelvic floor. So if you were to even hold or put your hand by your pelvic floor or by the sits bone here, I should be able to breathe in. When I breathe, I should feel tissue pushing into my hand. If I don't feel my pelvic floor moving or tissue coming into my hand, my breath is not connected. And this is like, think about yourself on a beach, the waves coming in and coming out. When we talked about pressure before or the thoracic spine earlier, that pressure is good if it's controlled. So if I breathe in and I can breathe all the way to my pelvic floor, this is a great thing because then my pelvic floor relaxes during the day, which we need, right? Relaxing and contracts back up as I send air back out. So there's this nice rhythmical motion that our pelvic floor will relax and contract. But if you're not feeling any movement in your hand under your tissue, so again, you could put your palm on your pubic bone and your other hands towards the tailbone, or I could put my hand on my butt bone, my sits bone, and then my fingers are up towards my nose. I should be able to breathe in, and a healthy pelvic floor will feel tissue into it. If it's not, you can really just focus on breathing. It can be as simple as, when you're like preparing your snacks for all your boys, leaning down on your counter in your kitchen and trying to breathe into your back. So breathing into that bra line and think about visually air comes in through my nose. I'm pulling it all the way down into my bra line. Most women that are overachievers, which is probably everybody listening to this podcast, because otherwise you wouldn't want to be getting better.
That's right.
Like you guys got tight buttholes usually because you like want to feel contractions. And so the back of your pelvic floor is usually really tight because you're like ready to go all the time. So for those women, I think about almost if I'm like on that counter and I'm a tiger, I'm going to untuck my tail as breath comes in there. And then I'm just going to learn this pattern. I could practice it. If I practice it for 2 weeks, your brain is like, this is a better option than what I was doing before. Why haven't I been doing this since 12 years ago? Why haven't I been doing this since my youngest? And it will literally pick it up and eat it like candy. It's like as addicting as sugar. It'll be like, this is so much better than what I was doing before. Other key components are just making sure we're breathing in through our nose. It's really hard to do that nowadays. So breathing in through our nose versus our mouth.
Why is it harder nowadays?
There's like a whole book called Breathing by James Nestor and a book called Jaws, but our jaws have changed so much. So because of food, right? Food is more processed. Before we used to have to grind food and chew food up. Our jaws are narrower. They used to be wide. So it's
I'm like wanting
hard.
to open my mouth really big now.
Yeah, so it's harder to breathe in through our nose than it used to be, but there's so many benefits. It helps us literally filter out viruses and germs. It also helps calm the nervous system more. I used to have like really bad seasonal allergies. I barely have any kind of allergies now that I've retaught myself to breathe through my nose versus my mouth. But it does take a little bit of time and focus, especially after having kids. So, yes, nose breathing, there's a lot of research on it.
But like breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, or only
No,
nose?
no, only
Oh,
nose, really. They, even in elite athletes, so the difference between really elite athletes was that they could manage breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. But I will say when you're learning it, it's easiest to like kind of like take baby steps. So learning how to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth is what I found clinically. And
okay.
then learning how to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. Because if like you can't breathe through your nose, which a lot of people can't, you guys. Literally 90% of us are mouth breathers. So we're like the people sleeping at night, I used to look like, like just like trying to get air in through my mouth. I looked crazy sleeping. And then I actually like last night I'm reteaching every time too, like just like anything, you need to revamp it. So I now like will mouth tape. I'll put mouth or tape over my mouth so that I don't have the choice. There are little holes though, so people don't feel claustrophobic.
I'm like, please, Krystle, don't tape your mouth and go to bed.
Yeah. So after, since I have a healthy pelvic floor, after my romp session, what I do is promptly tape my mouth shut, which my husband probably also loves that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so breathing deeply is what I heard through the nose. You
Yeah.
said there were 5. Did I miss
And
some?
then, yep, down to your pelvic floor. And then
Okay.
also making sure we're fully exhaling. Like I said, when
Okay.
the baby is in the rib cage, our ribs will get stuck wide for most women. So making sure we're exhaling from our bottom up and our rib cage kind of pulls back in. Most people, especially if you have diastasis recti or you aren't satisfied with your stomach, you likely aren't exhaling all the way. So you can practice just breathing in for 4, out for 7, and like getting your
Ooh.
body used to breathing all the way out. And then, like we talked about before, having great thoracic mobility would be the 5th thing.
Oh my stars. Okay, so y'all, we're going to do some breathing. That's something you can do when the kids are around, and that's going to help your anger issues. Okay, I'm just saying. They
That is
always say
a
to
great time
breathe.
to honestly practice it. Like when your kid is
Yeah,
losing it, I will, because also nervous systems co-regulate on nervous systems, right? So if your husband comes home and he's crabby, it doesn't take long for him to get crabby. Or if he comes
totally.
home and he's in a good mood. So what they've shown in research is if I try to breathe and control my breath when one of the kids is losing it, they will, because if you tell them it's not that effective, but if you start doing it, they naturally will kind of do it with you and calm down as well.
Yeah, there's an interview, I think it's already come out when this is coming out, that calmness is contagious. Like
Yes.
while anxiety is contagious. So I see what you're saying, like the nervous system is
Calmness is
co-regulating.
contagious, and the way you get to calmness is through your breath. That will help calm your nervous system down so easily.
Okay, I know we have like seconds left, but do you have any answer for like best practices on carrying? I know that I realized as I brought it up, some people have whole opinions on baby wearing, and I don't want to cause a controversy. Okay. But is there like a quick suggestion?
Yes, baby
Okay.
wearing, I think listen, people have done baby wearing forever, right? You have to get stuff done when you have newborns, and I love this, I saw this, that there's tons of stuff created to set your newborn down because they're not really meant to be set down. They love to be near mom. And so if you have a baby and you feel like, gosh, I can't get anything done, just know that that's so normal. So with baby wearing, my biggest number one tip is making sure that we're doing that reciprocal motion that we talked about for a healthy pelvic floor. So if I have my flashlight, we're kind of where your baby's head is on a baby carrier. And
Like where the head's like where
yeah,
your
like
heart
right
is,
in between your
basically.
breast tissue.
I think of Iron Man, like his little light on his chest.
Yes.
Like
So
that
Iron
exactly.
Man's light, we want, if there's a clock in front of me, we want that to go from 3 to 9, 3 to 9. When you're baby wearing, sometimes you do become really rigid up there, right? Because it's like you don't want to move or disturb the baby, but it's actually good for them and good for mom's body to reconnect back to all the core things. If
Like
I
she's
move
just
my
twisting
chest, yep, left to right, shoulders coming forward, boom, ba boom,
twisting at the waist
and the trunk.
and the trunk.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So is there an amount of time, like you're saying it's fine, like there's not like a limiting, but that is a more centered versus on the hip.
Yes. So on the
Okay.
hip too, I do like to switch them to the front if I can. So that things, and I love doing where I can take my hands and I'll pull them apart. So I'm actually creating tension and opposition. So I'm just like putting my hands together and I'm pulling them apart. And the baby's butt is like sitting on my hands or in between my hands. So you're just changing it up. You have to change it up. If you hold your kids on your hip, you can't always do the left hip, right, Heather? You've learned too late
I know
now.
I've had
But that's
issues.
why you
I've
got
had issues.
Pilates.
No, I really was having tons of left hip pain, like you were saying. And when I did Pilates, it went away, but it was probably from years of
Yeah, it's
holding a
probably from
kid.
the weak sided obliques on that. So you're gonna want to flip flop the kid back and forth, back and forth. If you're on
What were you saying about the hands, though? I'm confused.
okay, so if you're holding the baby in the front, like
Like in a baby warrior?
no, if they're a toddler and
Okay.
and then the kid is sitting right in front of your chest, and to pull them closer to your chest, I can put my fingers to one another like they're like C shapes, and I can
Okay.
actually pull my fingers apart and pull the baby closer to my chest like this, because instead of holding up, so when I'm holding up, I'm using my biceps and my
Yeah.
triceps to hold a kid, but if I am pulling apart, I'm using my lats and my back and my rhomboids that I want to strengthen that are already weak from having kids. So it's just changing it up. You cannot
But
just
this is not an option if you're trying to like cook dinner
not an option
because
if you're trying to cook dinner. But how
your
many times
hands are
though were you at like the pumpkin farm and the kid
right.
just wanted to be held and you're like, okay, we're on the pumpkin farm. Boom, lock them in, or so when it is an option, but you have to switch it up left to right, and then the handhold lock, or two. I always said strollers. If your stroller's in the car, just take that thing out sometimes. Boom, put them in there.
Okay. This is good advice. And y'all, obviously we cannot cover everything. Krystle, you are a wealth of information. I see why people love you and your sister. And so we're going to point people to your podcast. You also have an amazing code for everyone. Do you want to tell them or you want me to tell them?
I can tell you.
Okay.
So we would love if you join us in the app. That is honestly where you cannot have to think about all the things that we just talked about. I know that they're complicated. My sister really does get annoyed with me sometimes because I overcomplicate things on the PC
No,
side.
I don't
But
receive that. I don't receive that.
the app is like you literally just have to press play and then you're doing all the things without having to think about it or having to, have the shocking experiences of all the women's health courses. So the code for that is don't mom alone. And that's all one word. It would get you 20% off of a year subscription. And those like quick workouts that you can easily do at home. And we do have ones that are called Elevated and Empowered. And those are for moms that are way further out. So like they're not near baby years, but it's still going to keep you active at home and you're going to feel really accomplished from doing those. And then we're always on Instagram as well at everything we're at Expecting and Empowered. So online, that's our podcast as well. So we'd love if you'd give us a follow there.
Yo, I mean, I've learned so much. I wish I knew it years ago. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Krystle. You are a joy and really appreciate what you're doing. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us.
Did this episode cause you to blush? It may have. I hope also you feel less alone. If you've had some pain with your spouse and you didn't know why, or didn't know who to talk to, I hope that helped you. If you've been carrying your kids around and now you've been having hip pain, or maybe you're 13 years later, wasn't that, or 15, what'd she say, down the road and you're like, oh, where did this issue come from? Super helpful. Always good to know. I've been breathing out of my nose more. I have not gone to the extreme of taping my mouth. I don't think that I will do that. But the breathing in my nose and out of my nose was so interesting. I even told the boys at dinner the other night, and I even have tried the like breathing in and putting my hand under my buttocks and seeing if it moves it. Anyway, so helpful. I hope you check out Expecting and Empowered, and you definitely check out their app. All right, I'm going to pray over us. Lord, you made our bodies, and it's so interesting how our bodies all work together. I thank you for people who study our bodies and that you've made our bodies to heal. You've given us tools to let them heal. And I pray that we continue to learn more and more about the amazing gift you've given us, these life-giving bodies. I pray for all the moms that they would feel encouraged to care for themselves. I know it's so hard to do in this season, but just even breathing, that's something they can add in as they're doing the rest of their life today. That they would breathe in your goodness, they would breathe in the truth of who you are, and breathe out anything that they need to bring to you, that they need to hand over to you, that they need to surrender to you, that they're carrying that is not theirs to carry, Lord. I pray that we would be women who surrender our lives to your all-powerful, all-capable hands, our children, their journeys, all the weight that we carry that is not ours to carry, that we would give it over to you to live lives that are abundant, peace-filled, empowered by your Spirit. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks you all for joining me. I'll be here next week. I cannot remember who the guest is. I'm going to click on over. We keep this nice little spreadsheet handy. Oh, this is a fun one. Next Monday is our first Sidetracked with a guest, where Cynthia surprised me with a super, super fun guest. You're going to love it. Meet me back here next week for that fun surprise. All right. Have a good one. Adios. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Don't Mom Alone podcast. If you're wanting to connect with more people and more resources to help remind you that you're not alone, head over to don'tmomalone.com. That's where you'll also find show notes with any links mentioned by our guests. Most importantly, I want you to know the good news, the great news that you're not alone because God has promised to always be with you. With faith in Jesus Christ, the one who died for you and rose again, Jesus said when he left, he was going to leave a helper, a comforter, to be with us. God in us. Moms, that's superpower. So while you're washing dishes at your kitchen sink, while you're driving to and from work, while you're feeding that baby late into the night, while you're cleaning sticky floors, God promises to be just as present with you as when you're worshiping in a church pew. As it says in Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He takes great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love, and he will rejoice over you with singing. Now that's good news. Have a great day.